Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings to everyone who may be listening to this video. And I'm just posting some thoughts on coming into Islam. I have never really talked about this before, maybe on a couple of occasions, because I don't really want the issue to stop at converting to Islam. When you look on YouTube and you see videos of people converting, you can see how many views they have and how many likes they have. But I don't really want the issue just to stop at converting and the excitement that people have at people coming into Islam, but rather I would like to take a deeper and broader view of existence itself, of what Islam is teaching us about our existence. And one of the reasons why I came into this path is because growing up in Britain, and I would say pretty much the culture of Britain has not changed all that much, definitely not since the 1980s. The predominant mentality on the street is to be a cog in the wheel of this economic system. We hear a lot about the freedoms that we have here, and certainly we ostensibly do have certain freedoms. But perhaps what is not so apparent is how those freedoms are limited and controlled. So certain academics in the field of social studies have pointed out that actually the freedoms with which we are presented are a limited number of freedoms. You think you have a choice if you are presented by design with 2 or 3 things to choose from. Then you think you have freedom of choice, but actually you don't realize how those choices have been very narrowly selected for you. From our teen years upwards, we are inculcated into a very particular culture. And if you take a step back from that culture, you are pretty much going to be ostracized. So even before I came into Islam, when I was working in various offices, doing temp work, various offices in London, although I tried to kind of look like I fitted in, somehow it seems that I didn't fit in. So the girls in the office, used to not invite me for lunch, or feel kind of threatened in some way. And as for myself, I just felt that, you grow up and you go to university. You are encouraged to think and question at university. But once you have quit university, you then have to switch off the button in your brain that is linked to your thinking and stop thinking. Okay, thinking time over, folks. It's now time to become an obedient member of this economic system. It's now for you to go all out and work like crazy to make it in this situation, this system, this framework that has been set up for you. And you don't even think, hang on a minute, who has set up this framework? What is the purpose of this framework, of this society? I mean, I look at my society. What is the purpose of our culture, of British culture? Tell me, what is the purpose of it? What is the purpose of this country? What is the purpose of many of our countries? As far as I can see, since the 1980s, the main focus has been upon economics. You can hear on the radio, you could hear on the TV. I mean, now it's, social media. The main focus has been economics. And there's a total myopia, not just myopia, but actual blindness to the vast dimensions of reality that lie unexplored for the human mind to explore and investigate and experience. So you're kind of funneled into this very narrow culture, which consists, as you can see, of, again, certain type of dressing. Everyone looks the same. If you go on the street, everyone looks the same. And it's even worse when you go to Europe. I mean, there's a little bit of variety in London, but you go to other cities in Europe and everyone looks like a clone. We're supposed to be free. It's like, why is everyone looking like a clone? So you have that culture where everyone looks like a clone, perhaps with like a little bit of variety here and there. And then, again, it is marching to work like an automaton, coming home from work, paying the bills, and just your goals are the next thing to get, the next thing to pay. I know a lot of people object to this type of culture. They object to the fact that my life has become a treadmill where I can barely make ends meet. I can barely pay the bills. But okay, there's that issue. So what are we going to do to change it? For me, when I look at the culture in which we live, it has always looked to me extremely, extremely limited. And that's the irony, because when you come into Islam, what people see in a Northern European culture, secularized Northern European culture, what people see is someone who has decided to restrict their life, to massively restrict their life. And of course, it's these restrictions that people will mention to you in case you didn't realize, like when you're, thinking intensively for 2 years about the very foundations, the very conceptual and existential foundations of your life, and you've actually made that decision to change, to move over to different conceptual and existential foundations. The change of Islam is not just about wearing a hijab. It's a whole existence. It's a whole experience of existence, I should say. It's a whole perception of existence, which doesn't get mentioned. What gets mentioned is, what you have to give up, maybe, what you have to wear, and then of course, a lot of the customs that people mistake for Islam that get mentioned to you, and so on. But what is at the basis of it is a questioning of the very reality with which we are presented in this secular society. This society is artificially constructed. The reality in which we live is an artificial construction. It is an artificial reality. If you're someone who wants to live a true life according to what is true, according to what is real, how can you live inside a glorified cage that is made up of someone else's fake concepts and fake ideas, and that you basically kind of have to be fake for your entire life? And you have to have fake conversations. As I have experienced in my society, people are afraid of thinking. Don't you dare think, because you're going to be intimidating. And, we're not going to invite you out for lunch because you're that weirdo who thinks. I mean, that's how it is in this society. If you want to think, if you want to be a thinker, be prepared to lose friends. And so this is one of the reasons why I came into this path, that it accorded the Islamic conception of existence, of reality, of what reality is, of what truth is. It just accorded with what I was already feeling, but which I couldn't express to anyone because no one's really thinking about it. People are just thinking about what they're going to have for lunch and, you know, what movie they're going to watch, as we know. So this to me is not enough. We have been given this life. How are you going to spend this life? How are you going to live your life? Are you really going to think about what this life is, or are you just going to pass through your years as if you're in a dream? So these are some thoughts for tonight, and inshallah, hopefully I'll post up some more thoughts for the future. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.